Hi guys, welcome to Educating College's Selective Preparation Power Reading Test 19.
Today we'll be reading a speech. It is called Bondi of All Places. Let's begin. I have ridden Waima Bay a number of times, which would have to be considered the largest surfable surf spot in the world. However, I'd like to tell you about the largest wave I can remember riding here in Australia. Surprising enough, it was at Bondi of all places. As usual, a large southerly storm created huge seas in the Sydney area. Actually, the only way you surf big waves in the Sydney area is when a storm is on. It was really big, and Brad Mays, Paul Manstead, and I walked right around the roadway to the southern end of the point. There were set waves breaking way out to sea in deep water. We thought we had timed it right with a safe lull, so we jumped off this big flat rock and started paddling like crazy. Out of fear, I was paddling the fastest. As we approached the lineup area, these three waves came coming in to meet us. The first one was so huge that it seemed as if I was paddling up to it for ages. Paddle, paddle, paddle. I was quickly focused my attention on the third wave that was just about to break, and I almost bailed out at the top, but decided to take the punt and try to get through, which I did. As the wave went past me, my heart was going boom, 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 and I almost said out loud, "My God, how am I going to get in?" I turned around and saw how far out to sea I was, and thought that maybe it would have been better to get washed in with my two other friends. They ended up getting washed up to the rocks and scratched up a bit along with their boards. I picked this wave, which would have been over 4 meters. I started going across the face in a right slide. I could see this giant left coming from the northern point. I had to make this decision as I was going across the top, whether I wanted to try and pull off one of those bounce off the white water things you do in small surf. It really looked perfect to try it, almost inviting me to try. The moment of truth finally came where I could try it or pull out. But then I noticed that it had become too late and I was committed. I pulled it up and went up and away and got terribly wiped out. I still think about that moment often, as if it was really a big wave and a situation that I'd like to meet again. I want to start with question 1, which reads, which emotion does the title of this article intend to convey to the reader? A. Anger. B. Happiness. C. Surprise. Or D. Mystery. So remember that this title is called Bondi of all places, and they use an exclamation mark, which is possibly a hint. So we know if they use that exclamation mark. With Bondi of all places, if you read it like that, it's not A, anger, it's not really B, happiness, it's not D, mystery, it's C, surprise, and we knew again from the exclamation mark. So question 1 is C. Question 2 reads, Waima Bay, A, has the largest waves in the world, B, has the biggest waves that can be surfed in the world, C, is the world's most popular surfing beach, D, is the best surfing beach in Australia. So we'll go back to check Waima Bay. It says Waima Bay, which would have to be considered the largest surfable surf spot in the world. So of the options, that is B. Question 3 reads, the only way to surf waves in Sydney is to A, wait for a southerly wind, B, go to Bondi, C, wait for a surf storm, or D, catch the third wave in the set. So we'll just double check from the beginning. So it says, actually, the only way you can surf big waves in the Sydney area is when a storm is on, which I'll just quickly underline. So when a storm is on. So for question 3, it's not going to be A, wait for a southerly wind. It's not going to be B, go to Bondi. It's not going to be D, catch the third wave in the set. It's C, surf storm, like they mentioned earlier. Now we'll try question 4, which reads, as he was going over the third wave, the rider wondered, A, why he'd been so foolish, B, what would happen if he washed onto the rocks, C, what would happen if another wave came, or D, how he would ever get it. So we're just going to go back again and check with the third wave. And this time I'll use the color blue. So we can see it says here, I quickly focused my attention on the third wave that was about to break. I almost bailed at the top but decided to take the punt and try to get through, which I did. As the wave went past me, my heart was going boom, 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 and I almost said out loud, "My God, how am I going to get in?" So for question 4, it's not A, why he'd been so foolish. It's not B, what would happen if he washed on the rocks. It's not going to be C, what would happen if another wave came. It's going to be D, how he would get in, like they just mentioned earlier. Next, we're going to try question 5, which reads, the line, "My heart was going boom, boom, boom," mainly conveys A, excitement at finally catching a wave, B, anger at being washed back, C, relief at reaching the lineup, D, fear about how he would get in. So again, if we look where it is, we can see that boom, boom is like the previous question about how he would get in. And we can see that this option, D, talks about how to get in, so it must be the answer. And if we look at boom, 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 that's supposed to be the beating of your heart, which is not here excitement at finally catching a wave. It's not anger at being washed back. He wasn't washed back and he's not angry. It's not D, because your heart doesn't race when you have relief. It must be D, fear about how he would get back in. Next, we have question 6, which reads, the writer thought he might have done better to get washed in with his friends because A, they only got scratched a little, B, he was so far out to sea, C, he didn't like being on his own, D, he knew he would probably be wiped out. So we're just going to go back. Yep, and we'll use the green so we can see. I turned around and saw how far out to sea I was, and I thought maybe it would have been better to get washed in with my 2 other friends. They ended up getting washed up the rocks and scratched a bit along with their boards. So it's not going to be B, he was so far out to sea. He was far out to sea, but that's not why he thought it was better to get washed in like his friends. It's not C, he didn't like being on his own. And it's not D, he knew he would probably be wiped out. It's they were only scratched a little, which when they said earlier, only scratched a bit. So 6 would be A. Next, we have question 7, which reads, why did the writer attempt the difficult maneuver? A, the temptation was too great. B, he wanted to prove something to his friends. C, he knew he couldn't miss the opportunity. Or A, none of the above. So we're just going to go back again. We'll use purple this time. So we can see here, the moment of truth finally came where I could try it or pull out. But then I noticed it had become too late and I was committed. And also, it does say earlier, it looked really perfect to do it, almost inviting me to try. So we can see question 7, the temptation was too great. So that's the inviting part. So yep, it isn't none of the above because A is an option. It's not C, he knew he couldn't miss the opportunity. And it's not B, he would prove something to his friends. Next is question 8, which is the last question, which reads, in the passage, the moment of truth refers to deciding whether to A, jump off the rock at all, B, try to bounce off the white water or pull out, C, help his friends or keep paddling, D, go right or left on the fast wave. So we're not talking about the fast wave, we're talking about the third. And it's not C, help his friends or keep paddling, his friends are already washed out. It's not A, jump off the rock at all because there's no rock, he's on the water. So it must be B, try the bounce off the white water or pull out. And if we go previously, we can see that they do mention the pull, one of the bounce off the white water things. So yes, question 8 is B. Thank you guys for coming to Educating College's Selective Preparation Power Reading Test 18. I'll see you guys next time.